Hey everybody, that's right, welcome to the Bowfishing Buzz. Brought to you by AMS Bowfishing and
Megamouth Bowfishing as well.
How's it going today, Schmitty?
It's going good. It's going good.
Attaboy.
Yeah. We've been staying busy. We're starting to ramp up a little bit here. You can tell that spring is in the air.
Oh yeah, seeing a lot of bowfishing pictures on social media.
Yep. And I know
out.
Just this last weekend, I think, just in case anybody watching the video podcasts thinks we look a little bit different, I got some sun this past weekend.
I did too a little bit.
We each, for maybe the last time all year, we went out and we each capitalized on a pretty good panfish, ice fishing bite.
Yeah.
But boy, I tell you what, I got burnt up bad.
Yeah.
I'm peeling. So if we look a little goofy on the camera,
it's funny to think that you can get sunburnt while you're ice fishing.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can. I mean, that sun bounces off the ice just like it does in snow as it does off the water.
We were on 2 feet of ice. It was 30 degrees outside. It was not warm. It's not like but you can freaking get burnt up bad.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But it was fun. It was cool.
Yeah.
It was good.
I know I did really good on crappies.
Saw that.
Back here where I was, and you did really good on your crappies and bluegills and
perch and crappies we got into up there.
Very nice.
And this is such the name of the game, Matt, and I think it goes for bowfishing as well.
Yeah.
We were struggling to find fish Friday. We fished Friday and Saturday. Friday, oh my God, it was a struggle. And the lakes up there are in good enough shape that people are driving trucks out.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
So there's people all over the place. And so we're trying our traditional spots. There's been pressure there all winter. These fish have been getting pounded since late November, early December.
Yeah.
And you know what we did? We eliminated water based off of traffic of people, and we just went to an area where there was nobody fishing. Yeah. It was virgin ice. There was no holes there. And there's not a lot of structure there. It's not really someplace that you'd be like, oh my gosh, that's going to hold fish.
Yeah.
And there were fish there.
Yep.
And I think I mean, bowfishing wise.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say.
It's the same deal.
Yep.
You get your quote unquote honey holes every year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we got to get back up in the fingers over there. They're up that little finger that runs up that cut, whatever.
Yep.
Well, yeah, you think that. So does everybody else. There's 3 boats in there every night.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to think outside the box a little bit.
And trust me, and carp are smart.
Oh, yeah.
They're not dumb.
They have that rap of being this, dumb fish.
And they're not.
No, they're not. They're very smart.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever, and I'm sure a lot of you have noticed this daytime fishing, all right? When that sun starts setting a little bit in the west, and you're going along, you're standing on your deck, and your shadow touches fish. Poof.
Yep.
If they're daytime feeding on the surface, that spooks them. They think a bird or some type of bird is coming down to scoop them up out of the water.
Right. Yeah.
And especially for us when we have our filming platform up there.
Oh, yeah, that shadow.
That really honks, man, because he'll be up there and he'll spot the fish a long ways away. He's like, oh, you got a good group of 3 feeding right here in front of you,
Yep.
And, of course, he's up higher.
Yeah, filming guys always sees it first.
So we're like, oh, yeah, we see him now and we're getting close, and all of a sudden the little bit of his shadow starts hitting those fish.
Swoosh, gone. Yep, I know. That is crazy.
Yeah.
And I think we were talking about this yesterday too, Matt, with our video editing thing, but you mentioned a key to daytime shooting is to keep the sun
at your back. Yeah.
Try to keep it from giving that shadow, but the only thing worse than your shadow hitting a fish is trying to squint into the sun to try to see fish.
And that's playing, 2 verses there. Either your shadow hits them,
right,
or you're staring into the sun.
It's tough, but at least when you're fishing, your shadow isn't a 360-degree shadow. You have a kind of an area that you can try to avoid putting fish on.
Exactly.
Whereas if you got the sun at 12 o'clock and you're trolling right into it or whatever you're doing, that makes it tough.
Mm-hmm. Now, granted, there's always that witching hour where it just is bad no matter, right there before it turns into night where you just can't see nothing. You just got to sit down for an hour and take a break until you get lights on.
Yep.
But no, fish are smart. I mean, they're not dumb. Barometric pressures.
From crappies to carp.
Pressure.
Absolutely. You got to figure them out.
Yeah. One little thing I want to about ice fishing this weekend, I got my dad out there.
That was cool. Yeah, I saw that.
He's 85 years old. And I got him out there, and he caught some crappies and stuff, and he had a good time. So really enjoyed that's one thing that we all love about the outdoors, spending time with family and friends. I'm sure you were up there with your dad as well.
That's what I was fishing with. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. We have a little fishing journal that whenever we have a good day or a really bad day, we'll write in that little,
cool.
he puts an entry in there, insanely detailed, and it is so cool to go back and read that. I was thinking, like, we got to do that boat fishing wise. Yeah. Now, and then I think to myself, well, we film everything, so that's kind of like a very detailed version of it. But, it's just cool. It's just cool. One thing I wanted to touch on, Matt, before we dive into this podcast and tell everybody what we are going to be doing, we're just going to touch on this really quick. March Madness bracket. What the? What?
We can actually...
That could not be a more appropriate noise. That's perfect. That's perfect. I had Gonzaga and Marquette in my championship game. Gonzaga obviously lost here a couple days ago. Marquette lost in the second round. Yeah. It's terrible. Who did you have in the championship?
I had Houston and Alabama, and Houston ended up winning, and they're both gone.
They both got bounced. Yeah.
And then in our previous podcast, I said, oh, man, look out for Purdue, man. Look out for Purdue, man. Yes. And they got whooped up right away in the first game.
Yeah.
When's the last time that happened? It was like,
it happened like in 2017. Virginia lost, but then before that, never.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just crazy. And the funny thing about that, we have a work bracket going here.
Yeah.
And the person who's going to win, because of the max amount of points you can score yet, the person who's going to win first place picked Purdue to win it all.
Isn't that crazy? And they're done. They're done in the first game.
I remember texting him so much crap when Purdue lost, and now here he's going to take first.
I texted him too. I says, great job, Purdue, man.
Yeah. I texted him. I said, more like Purdon't. I thought that was clever. Now he's going to walk out. He's going to win $70.
Yeah.
That darn Tim. But we just wanted to touch on our.
You want to tell us so we can let our listeners know who the guest is that we're having on this week?
Absolutely. We've talked to him a little bit in the past. We were actually on his podcast.
Correct.
But today we're going to be giving Cody Klaus, host of Playin Hooky Bowfishing Podcast.
Correct.
He also has Playin Hooky Guide Service.
Yes.
And he's a president of the LLBA, Land of Lakes Bowfishing Association. I always have to think about that.
That's Minnesota.
I always think of land between the lakes.
Down
in Kentucky. But it's Land of Lakes Bowfishing Association.
Over in Minnesota.
Over in Minnesota. So we're going to run through a couple things here and then give him a call, and we're going to be able to touch on all three of those topics. Yeah. I'm actually excited to talk to him about podcasting.
Yeah.
Just to see if he runs into the same things we do, same kind of patterns and whatnot. So.
Yep. And he does a great job. He's got a great podcast, so make sure to go over and check out, Playin Hooky podcast as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we give Cody a call here, Matt, you want to tell everybody what we got going on over on Carbon TV?
Yeah, our season 2, episode 1 premiered last Wednesday.
Yes, it did.
Giants in Green Bay, and it was Cindy and I went out in Green Bay last year and shot some good fish. So. It's a great little episode there on the commons in Green Bay, because a lot of people unfamiliar with this area up here. Green Bay is like a walleye factory.
It is. Yep.
Tremendous walleye fishery.
Yep. Smallies, smallmouth bass.
Giant muskies.
Yep.
But the carp are really coming in thick up there. They come out of the Great Lakes and they come down to Green Bay, which is a bay off Lake Michigan.
Yep.
And when those temperatures warm up, I mean, here's the thing about Green Bay is it's so long, Derrick.
Yeah.
The bay is so long, and then the Lake Michigan is up on the north end of it.
Right.
You can actually catch a spawn happening in like 5 different stages throughout,
depending how north or south you are.
Yes, from like end of May till the end of June.
Sure.
Because the water temperatures are cooler the further north you go until they start warming up. So it's kind of a neat location, but it's a neat little episode there. On Carbon TV, like I said, our season 2, episode 1 premiered, Giants in Green Bay on Carbon TV. So make sure to go over there. Carbon TV is free, Derrick.
It is 100% free.
Anybody can get it. You can get it on your Roku, your smart TV, Fire Stick. You can download the app on your phone.
Yep.
Tons of great hunting, fishing, outdoor videos out there. It's awesome.
Yep.
It's a great little thing to have.
So bop on over there too. And I know we don't mean to plug too much, but you can give shows a carbon score. And if you guys watch those episodes and enjoy what you're seeing there, we'd love it if you guys could give us a good carbon score there. That helps just with what shows carbon wants to pump maybe a little bit more. It helps us as far as being able to see analytics of, wow, this is going really well. Right. Not to mention we've got those episodes up there, and we'll also be uploading our video podcasts on Carbon TV as well.
Yep, absolutely.
So, go check that out.
And then next week we'll have season 2, episode 2, which is going to be Where the Buffalo Roam.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that title.
Really good podcast.
Yeah.
Some absolute giants.
Yeah, that'll be a good episode.
Of buffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so watch out for that. Yeah, we're kind of doing a bi-weekly. What we'll do on one Wednesday, we'll upload a Carbon TV episode. The next Wednesday, we're doing what we're doing right now, film a podcast. So we'll be trying to stick to that schedule as closely as we can,
right,
till September, October.
Busy, man.
Yeah, we're cranked and loaded here. I mean, we're doing it, but it's all fun. It's all good stuff. I just wanted to let everybody know we still have the Big 20 pre-registration open. Yeah. And I checked this morning, Matt. We've got 31 teams pre-registered right now. If you guys haven't done that, if you've been meaning to do it, make sure to go over to our website and pre-register.
June 3rd and 4th.
June 3rd and 4th, right here at the AMS headquarters. Make sure to go over there and pre-register for that tournament. Matt, I've got written down here. You've got an interesting story from Kentucky that just recently happened. You want to touch on that a little bit?
I got a message yesterday from Aaron Volk.
Okay.
All right. Who loves the podcast, listens to it, and he shared this little bit of information to us. He goes, "This might be something pretty cool for the podcast," and I thought it was pretty cool too, or something a little interesting. But the Ohio River, I love the Ohio River. I love chasing big heads on there and grassies when it floods and silvers and stuff. But an interesting incident happened yesterday on the Ohio River up near Louisville, Derrick. The incident includes 11 barges.
Oh, no.
10 of which are loose from the tug.
Oh.
Okay.
All
right. One barge carrying approximately 1,400 tons of methanol.
1,400 tons.
Yes.
Oh.
Of methanol has become lodged at the McAlpine Dam and is partially submerged.
So it's like smashed up against the dam.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's not
and
good.
if you look at the pictures, there's a whole bunch of all the other barges are pushed up there against the dam also where the turbulent water is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just thinking, in the next couple of years, we might be shooting 3 4-eyed big heads or silvers. We might shooting big heads with tails.
Yeah. Freaky fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's
crazy. We just hope everybody is safe.
Oh God. Yeah. There. Yeah. And I hope everything goes smoothly. I'm not sure how you go about cleaning that up, but I hope they can contain everything. And
because the water looked like it was really stained brown, so I was guessing they had a lot of water coming through there. It was really dirty and stuff.
I thought you were going to say it was stained from whatever that methanol was in there.
It did not say that that anything was leaking.
Okay, I got you.
Huh. But yeah, thanks Aaron Volk for that little bit of information. Like I said, if anybody wants us to talk about something on here, just shoot us a message on our social media pages, Instagram, Facebook, and let us know. So yeah, thanks Aaron for sending that over. But I thought it was pretty interesting there on that little incident down there. You know what's really crazy, Derrick?
What?
Hasn't there been like a lot of chemical spills in the last?
Yeah, the one I'm thinking of.
The Palestine.
East Palestine or something.
And there's been more than that. There's been other buildings on fire and stuff.
It's weird. I don't know.
Something's going on.
Weird.
Yeah.
Oh, you. I'm like, wow, Matt's really passionate about this. He just wanted to use his little button over there. That's definitely something that we'll have to keep everybody updated if we learn any more about that in the future podcast.
Yep.
Speaking of Matt's little buttons on the old podcast machine here.
Yes, sir.
Remember, when you hear this noise, wow, that noise should actually be cha-ching, cha-ching, because it's going to help you save money on AMS products. Now, just like we cover in prior episodes, you are going to hear that noise sometime throughout the podcast. We'll have another one today.
Yep.
And right now, I will explain to you what that will mean. So when you hear that later on in the podcast, I'm going to reveal a coupon code that can be used on the AMS website.
Yeah.
What you can do, and actually it can be used on the AMS and Megamouth website.
Correct.
Both websites.
Yes.
So when you go onto the website after you hear the code later on in the podcast, what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to buy 5 arrows and get your 6th one free.
Ba-boom!
Free. It's March 29th. Bowfishing season's ramping up. One thing that you can always use more of is arrows.
Yeah.
All right. So I just want to lay out an example here. What we're doing here, say you go on the website, you order 6 Lava Crux QT arrows. Yep. All right. You will get 5 of them you'll pay for. You'll get the 6th one free. Right. All right. So if you go on there and order 3 QT arrows and 3 Chaos arrows, you will get the lesser value of those 2. You will get 1 free.
Yes.
I just want to clarify that for everybody.
Correct.
If you get all the same arrow, you will get that same arrow for free.
Right.
But if you get 2 different kinds or 3 different kinds of arrows, the lesser value of those arrows will be the one that you'll receive free.
Right.
So take advantage of that while that lasts. That's going to be here for roughly 2 weeks until we have our next podcast.
Yep.
And to go along with that, Matt, we have a sale running right now.
Flash sale.
A flash sale from now to the end of this weekend.
Right.
Sunday at midnight, and then it is done.
Yeah.
All right. So we already discussed the arrow sale, which we'll review the coupon code later.
Right.
We also have AMS and Megamouth apparel sales. All right. On the AMS side of things, we're going to have $15 T-shirts. These are high-quality T-shirts. Our best hoodie that we have, one of them is going to be the one that you have on right now. You've got that awesome retro fish logo, AMS Bowfishing flowing down the left sleeve. It looks sharp. That's going to be down to $35. Not to mention, we have 50% off of our beanies right now.
Yeah.
All right. So it's a flash sale. Go check it out. Megamouth and AMS websites. We've got some really good deals running right now.
Yep.
We're all getting excited, ready for this 2023 season. So take advantage. Take advantage while you can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You ready to give old Cody a call?
Yeah. I think it's time to give Cody a call right after this message, Schmitty.
All right.
Why I Bowfish. Hunting fish with a bow. Non-stop action. Never slow. By day, by night. Great shots. Great fights. With family, with friends. Trash talk never ends. And kids, they love it. If they miss, think nothing of it. By foot, by boat, by board or canoe. How you do it is up to you. Aim low. Shoot fast. Watch your shadow. Watch the grass. Shoot carp, rays, or gar. Shoot them close. Shoot them far. Stout arrow. Barb tip. Retrieve a reel. Let it rip. Bow fishing. Give it a shot.
And welcome back to the Bowfishing Buzz. All right, Schmitty, what do you say?
Let's give old Cody a call.
Should we Mr. Cody Klaus from Playin Hooky Podcast and Guide Service and the president of the LLBA? My goodness.
He's a busy man. Hopefully he's got time to talk to us.
All right, let's give Cody a ring here.
There we go. Coming through nice and clear.
Yeah.
Hello?
What's going on, Cody Klaus? This is Mathew and Derrick calling from the Bowfishing Buzz. How the heck are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing pretty well, guys. How about yourself?
We are doing great. We just need this ice to start melting up here or over here, which I'm sure you're same instance over there, Cody. But yeah,
no. Yeah, for sure.
We are glad to have you on. You are a very, very busy guy over there in Minnesota. So I'm just going to start it out right here, Cody. Starting with your Playin Hooky podcast. You know, when and why did you decide to start doing a bowfishing podcast?
Yeah, so I a few years ago I really got into podcasts, and I was listening to, all of them that I could find. I'm really into muskie fishing, and so I was listening to muskie podcasts, and then I found some bowfishing ones and started listening to those, and then yours included, of course. And I was listening to Rough Fish Registry as well.
Yep.
Well, then they stopped making theirs, and so then you guys were the only ones that had one out there. And, like, for my muskie fishing podcast that I would listen to, I loved having, like, 3 or 4 different ones to listen to because I just, loved getting all that info. And I was like, man, since there's only one bowfishing podcast, I kind of wanted to start one so that, other people that are listening to podcasts like I am would have, more places to listen to stuff like that. And, I also just, I love the bowfishing community, and it seems, you guys probably somewhat feel this way, but it seems like a lot of the bowfishing community is like in the more southern states.
Right.
And so I kind of wanted to like bridge the gap up here to, especially like Minnesota isn't like a huge bowfishing state. And so I kind of wanted to like bridge that gap between us up here and some of the people down south as well. So all that together was kind of why I dove off the deep end and decided to start one.
Sure. That's very cool. That's very cool. Before we move on here, Derrick, let's just let Cody tell our listeners where he's from, what some of his hobbies are.
Little background.
A little background on yourself, Cody.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I mentioned, I'm in Minnesota. I born and raised here, and kind of grew up fishing and hunting, like a lot of us did. Yeah. I can remember specifically getting into bow fishing. My dad actually kept encouraging my brother and I to get a bow. And this was before we even knew what bow fishing was, but he was like, you guys need to get bows. And it was all centered around deer hunting. He was like, you guys should get bows because then you can deer hunt for, however many more months than just the couple weeks of gun season or whatever. And my brother and I thought that was a great idea. We, saved up our money. We each bought our own bow, and that bow that each of us got, the archery shop that we bought from, A1 Archery, it's in Hudson, Wisconsin. They included a DVD with like their pro staff hunts or whatever. And so I can remember one Saturday morning, we're sitting in the basement and we're watching these, and, it's like the middle of winter. So we're just like, nothing else to do. Yeah. And, it gets to, a couple of these hunts, I guess you could call them, but they're out on the water and they're shooting fish with these bows. And I can remember my brother and I looked at each other. We looked back at the TV. We looked at each other again. And we were like, man, the second the ice melts, we got to get whatever the reels or whatever these things are and put them on our bows and go try this. And that was probably 10, 11 years ago. Wow. And sure enough, the ice melted. We went out and we got our AMS retrievers. They're so easily, accessible everywhere. You can buy them everywhere. Yep. So, and they bolt right onto the bows. So we got them, we bolted them on. And I can remember walking down to this piece of river by us and just like wading into the water and seeing these carp and like shooting them. I mean, you guys know it was all over after that. It was just, wow. So, but yeah, then we grew up bow fishing for a while. My dad never really got into it, but he's kind of like the reason we got into it. Kind of interesting, but and so now here we are today, and still hunting, still fishing, and obviously still doing a ton of bow fishing. So.
Well, and I find that really interesting because you watched a bow hunting video that had some guys in there bow fishing, and that's what got you hooked.
Yeah.
That's what made you want to go out and try this. So that's really cool, Cody. Yeah. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I agree. It was, just completely unexpected.
Right.
We didn't know what it was,
Exactly.
But yeah, super cool.
Very cool.
That is very cool, Cody. That's something that you just mentioned in that. You got that DVD. It was included with your bow.
Yeah.
And you happened to watch it. That brings it back to like even the content, even the podcast that we're recording right now. Like, we'll never know, but you have no idea who it's going to reach or who's going to listen to it or videos that we post or anything that we put out online. You never know who it's going to reach and inspire to start, shooting some fish.
Right.
That's so cool that, that has that reach. Back to the podcasting aspect of things, Cody. I'm interested to ask you some of these questions just because we haven't had a lot of fellow podcasters on before.
Right. Cody's our first.
Yeah, Cody's our first person that also has a podcast. I'm curious, what do you feel the most difficult aspect of having a bow fishing podcast is?
Yeah, so I run into kind of two things that I find a little bit difficult. The first one is just like the amount of time it takes itself, right? So it's just, you got to take the time to coordinate with whoever you're going to have on, if you're going to have a guest, and then, you got to get the outline and send it out to them. And then, you actually have to have the conversation. And, aside from the recording, typically you're talking to the person ahead of time and after. And then once you get the conversation recorded, then you got to go through and edit everything.
Right.
And, some are better than others. Some guys just, they talk right through what they're supposed to, and, that's great. But some people, and, there's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody's, able to talk like that. But some people, it's just, you guys know, it's kind of like pulling teeth sometimes, and you got to work some editing magic. And so, and I've got a wife and 2 kids at home, so that's all time away from them. And so that's, at least for me, that's kind of like one of the most difficult things. And then the other one is just like getting guests for me. Man, I don't know what it is. Maybe this is just people, or maybe it's people in bow fishing, but there's a lot of people that just like, for me, I'm just kind of like reaching out, I don't necessarily know the person. And so maybe that's why they're not responding. But like sometimes I'll just like, I just won't get a response. And it's like, man, it takes a while sometimes,
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I would have to say that like for us, and we kind of changed how we're doing it this year, but every other week we're doing a podcast, and just, I think everyone who listens enjoys that we have them every other week, but also that we're confident that we have enough fresh content to discuss that's relevant to the time of year.
That's the hard part.
That's kind of the hard part. At least that's how I feel.
Right.
Our most difficult thing is all right, Matt, what can we talk about that's relevant? I mean, we could sit up here and talk for hours, no problem. But what can we talk about that's relevant, that everybody's going to want to listen to right now?
Yeah.
So I guess and I hear what you're saying, Cody. I think that combined with just overall content would be our most difficult aspect of that.
I feel so much better when I can actually get out and start bow fishing, so I have some stories to tell on the next podcast when we can finally get out there.
Yep.
You know, you heard us talking at the beginning of the show, we were ice fishing this weekend.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. So okay, Cody, of all the people you have had on the podcast, who was your favorite guest, excluding us, of course? And you got any wild stories from some of your podcasts?
Yeah, so man, it's so hard to pick. I've had so many awesome folks on you guys too have had so many awesome folks, but there's a few that kind of come to mind. I'll just kind of breeze over them quick. One of the first groups I had on was a tournament team, the Outsiders, and they won the Cajun 8. I think it was in 2021. Okay. And they won it in a little 15-foot John boat because their airboat broke the night before. Oh. And yeah, and so it's one thing to like win a big tournament like that, but then to do it in a tiny little boat, and they had some massive grass carp that they were pulling, and it was a huge bag, and so that was a pretty crazy story from cool. them. I also had a guide from Kentucky, C.T. Meyer, the Obsession Outdoors. Yeah, super nice guy, but the way he kind of like got into guiding, he and his family used to take trips down to, I think he said it was Florida, to go, fishing offshore. And one of the times they went down there, they were packing up and getting ready to head back home. And his dad opens the trunk of their car and takes his bag and throws it back out. And he's like, "Dad, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Hey, you're staying here, man." And he was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, I hooked up with this captain that we've been going out with, and you're going to be his first mate for the summer. So you're staying."
Oh my Lord.
And just like out of nowhere. And I was like, oh my gosh. It ended up being like one of the best things that ever happened to him because, it gave him the love for, guiding and stuff like that. But I was just like, man, I cannot imagine like having that happen. Just crazy. And then one more, the guy I just had on, he took a 10-month road trip, lived in the back of his truck, and just bow fished in like 9 different states.
That's amazing. That's cool. That is freaking cool. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, they're all great, but those were just 3 that just kind of came to mind.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's very cool.
That's awesome. So, like I said, if you're wanting to listen to more bow fishing podcasts, Cody Klaus, Playin Hooky podcast, go over and listen to him. He's got some great stories from obviously what you just told us, Corey, and you've got a lot more out there as well. So, yeah, very cool.
And I don't ever want our listeners to think, that other bow fishing podcasts are competition.
No.
Like, we're just all here to try to help grow the sport, make everything as good as it can, provide content to those who want it. So, yeah, absolutely. Right. Mm-hmm. We're all for as many podcasts starting up as possible.
Heck yeah.
Cody, you also run the Playin Hooky guide service. When and why did that situation arise? Why'd you start doing that?
Yeah, so, over time, and, we talked about this when you guys were on our podcast, the progression of, like, getting into the outdoors and, you start out and you just, like, in bow fishing, for example, you just want to shoot a fish, and then you want to shoot a bunch of fish. And then you want to shoot a giant fish.
Yep.
And then once you've done all those things, then the next kind of natural progression is you want other people to experience what you have experienced, right?
Yeah,
you want to show people the sport that you love. And so that's kind of what happened here, right? I did all these, and I'm not saying like I have a crazy bow fishing career or anything like that. I did bow fishing and I still bow fish. I'm trying. Basically, I didn't do anything crazy, but I eventually got to the point where, I love like bringing people out and, putting a bow on their hand and getting them to experience the sport. And so, over time, I just kind of like had this idea, like maybe I should get into guiding. And I spent the summer working for another guy who owns a guide service here. And nothing against him or his company. Like, it was a good experience and stuff. But by the end of that season, I decided that I wanted to start my own. And so, the next season I did. And, here I am. I think this is my 4th year. And, I love it. I love getting to
cool.
watch people see the water at nighttime and see all the nightlife out there and get, people to experience stuff like that. I mean, there's just it's one of my most favorite things in the world. I absolutely love it. And so, loving it right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Very
and
cool.
I used to teach hunter safety. Okay. And you also we tell the kids about what your hunting progressions are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
At first you're excited just to get out there and go hunting. Then you want to shoot as many things as possible and fill your tags is what your goal is. Then you have different perspectives of maybe holding out for something a little bit bigger.
Sure.
Not quite so many, but more the experience. And then after that, you kind of fall into I don't need to shoot something to fulfill my hunting season.
Right.
And that's kind of exactly what you were kind of going through, Cody, with you love doing it. You go out and you shot a lot of fish. Now you wanted to show people that don't get a chance to do that also what bow fishing is about. And you wanted to have them experience bow fishing. So I really find it interesting how both, you got bow fishing and hunting are really
very relatable.
Very relatable. And like I always tell people, bow fishing is not fishing. We're hunting.
Right.
We are hunting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that's really
absolutely.
Cool. Yep. Do you have any extra memorable nights on the water while guiding, Cody? I'm sure you probably got a lot of them.
Yeah, something I always say is every night bow fishing is like a memorable night, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many crazy things that happen out there, but I think I'm a little bit more fortunate to where I haven't had anything like super major crazy happen to me, but I did the first time I ever did a trip. It was when I was still working for that other guy. The very first trip he gave me, I took these 2 kids out and they were great. I mean, we had a great time, but it seemed like everything that could go wrong, went wrong, right? I mean, we get to the first spot and we're trolling around and I start to notice the nav lights on my boat are starting to flicker. And I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. That, I don't know why that's happening.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden my graphs shut off and I'm like, is there a bad connection? And I'm messing with the battery or whatever.
Yeah.
And this is pretty early on in the trip. And so, we're not going to head in. And so we just keep going and I go eventually to start the outboard and it's dead. The battery died. And so I don't know if something was wrong with the charger or what, but we're completely dead in the water. Well, thankfully we still got the trolling motor and there's still a lot of trip left. So I'm like, we'll just we'll troll around and, we'll kind of figure it out, push it under the rug. Well, we're trolling around and now we're at the end of the trip and we're ready to go back, and now the trolling motor batteries are completely dead. And so we're miles from the launch. I don't have a paddle. I mean, I'm just I almost quit right there. I was like, this is going to be my last trip ever. This is awful. Well, I had a rope in the boat, and we were able to, pop the toweling off the outboard and wrap it around. One of the guys was holding the throttle and pushing the choke in. The other guy kept wrapping the rope around and cranking on it. And eventually we got it to start. We drove in and I just was like, wow. I mean, I learned a lot about being prepared and triple checking your stuff after that. But I just felt like a complete idiot, man, with these people that are paying me to take them out, and all my stuff's not working. Yeah, that was
fun. Props to you for sticking with it after that being your first experience.
Absolutely. I'll just tell you something. Go ahead, Cody.
I was just gonna say, I talked to a few guides, and that was one of the main things that they told me was, you're gonna have nights where everything goes wrong and stuff breaks and you're just going to feel down. And in order to stay in the guide game, you just got to push through it and, just do better the next time. And so that's that's what you got to do, I guess.
Yep, absolutely. As I was reading that question to you, Cody, something popped up into my head about memorable night on the water bow fishing. And it was like my third year bow fishing here with AMS. And I remember going down to Petenwall Flowage early in the year to do some bow fishing.
Oh, I know this.
And we were back there, and we were trolling around, And at that time of year, the water is really shallow because of they're letting a lot of water through because of the winter runoff and stuff like that, the spring runoffs and everything. And I remember coming around a corner, and there was a bunch of cattails and weeds, and I'm looking down the water, and I remember seeing, I'm like, what the heck is that? And here it was a carpet, a big, large mat of carpet rolled up. And I'm like, can't. Well, maybe, I don't know. I'm like, I wonder if there's a body wrapped up in there or something. It ran through my mind.
Yeah.
I'm like, did somebody dump somebody out here in the water, and roll them up in this carpet? So I was like, should I shoot it? Should I bring it in? We did shoot it. We brought it in. We unrolled it, and there was nothing in there.
Oh, thank God.
But it was just really freaky thinking that.
I'd never heard that story before.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I thought for sure you were going to say there was a body in there, man. I was nervous.
I was glad there wasn't. Yeah. But it did run through my mind, that maybe somebody dumped somebody in the water and rolled them up in this carpet. It kind of freaked me out a little bit.
Yeah. And it would all be, oh boy. That would make me think twice before I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah.
What the heck's in there? Wow.
Yep.
Okay. So Cody, what can a client expect on a night out with Playin Hooky guide service?
Yeah. So I try my best to make everybody feel like really comfortable in the boat. I try and be like extra hospitable and just make them feel like welcome. Cause a lot of people that I take out have never even really held a bow in their hands before. And so, they just, people just feel a lot better, even if they're, inexperienced and don't really know what's going on. They feel a lot better if, the person in the boat is, kind and, just really like patient and really like, those kinds of things, because it's one thing to like put people on fish, like obviously to be a good guide, like you have to be able to do that.
Yep.
But I think it's sometimes overlooked how also important it is to make people feel comfortable and welcoming. And so I try and kind of create that atmosphere in my boat.
Exactly.
And we shoot a lot of the rivers over here in Minnesota, the Mississippi, the St. Croix, Vermilion, Cannon. And so you kind of tell people to expect the unexpected sometimes. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in the river. You guys know you shoot the Mississippi, and so you see all kinds of fish, all kinds of animals. You see rolls of carpet, you see random trash and random stuff out there. And so, every night's just kind of like, I don't know what we're going to see, but it's going to be an adventure,
Right. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, just give us 1 second here, Cody.
Love it.
B5G1. B is in boy, 5, G is in girl, 1, B5G1. If you know, you know.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you for holding on
beautiful.
for us there, Cody.
I love it.
Another thing that I see a ton in the water, speaking of stuff in the water, we're always shooting at like balls in the water, like basketballs
down,
or beach balls or softballs or those hard balls that kids hit, with their big old bats when they're little
like
kids.
Like a wiffle ball.
Like a wiffle ball.
Yeah.
We're always shooting those things in the water.
Yep.
Yeah,
Cleaning up the waterways one ball at a time.
Yep.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. So on top of a podcast, a guide service, you're also the president of the LLBA. Why don't you go ahead and tell everyone what that's all about, Cody?
Yeah, so I just was elected as the new president at the end of February here. And, Justin Klaus was the previous president, and he just kind of teed it up for me. And, he worked really hard, and the whole board worked really hard to get the LLBA where it is today. And all all the hours that they've put into it. So, all the credits to them. But, so now I sit in that seat, and, I haven't had to do a ton yet, but, some of the things that I'll be doing is, I'm kind of the president is kind of the person who takes the calls, and just kind of hears the crap, I mean, when people dump fish where they're not supposed to, the noise and the light complaints like that, usually the president gets to handle those. So that'll be fun. And we do a tournament trail here in Minnesota. And so I'm kind of helping coordinate some of those tournaments. And then also working with the Minnesota DNR too. You guys probably heard we've got a limit on gar now here in Minnesota. And and I don't have anything against limits per se. I just wish that there would be some scientific study to get there. And so I know some people, some of the groups that are gunning for limits kind of tied the DNR's hands and just went straight to legislation, and that's why the DNR had to do that. So I love the DNR. I think they do a great job. So kind of working with them on stuff like that, where they invited us to a round table for some of the other native fish in the state that you can bow fish. Didn't give a ton of details, so I don't know exactly what that's going to entail, but just happy that the bow fishing community gets to have a part to play in that. So
as we should, it's a large enough community where, they need to keep us involved.
Right.
They need to have us at this meeting. So that's really cool, Cody.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big community, and it's just, it seems like it's growing more every day. It's getting more and more popular.
Yeah. So, Cody, you were just telling us kind of what you have to deal with as a president of the LLBA. What is your favorite aspect of being the president? What do you like to do the most?
Well, like I said, I just started, so I haven't done a ton. But I just, right now I'm just really excited to be able to, serve and give back to the bow fishing community in this role. I love bow fishing. I love the bow fishing community. And so anything that I can do to help or, give back or whatever, I'm absolutely here for it. So I'm really excited for that opportunity.
Good.
Yeah, very cool.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. So in your opinion, Cody, why are bow fishing clubs and associations so important for the future of our sport?
So I think there's two main reasons why these clubs are so important. One of them being community. As just people in general, we need community. We need other people to do life with, I guess. And so, to be able to have a community within a sport that we all love, I think is pretty crucial, pretty important. It kind of, it helps us kind of do checks and balances on ourselves, right? And, it helps us to, hold each other accountable. Don't dump your fish at the landing, and don't, drive around with all your lights on right next to people's docks. Like, we can, if we have a community, it's a little bit easier to, tell somebody you have something in common with that they're doing something wrong, or to hear that you're doing something wrong.
Right.
And so I think that's important. And it's just good to have, like-minded people that you can do something that you enjoy with. Right. I mean,
correct.
It's a lot more fun to go bow fishing with other people than by yourself. I think so.
Yep.
Yeah. So the community aspect, I think, is really important. And then, kind of back, tying into what we were just talking about with limits coming down the pipe. I mean, there's lots of organizations and people and groups of people that don't like bow fishing and want to, limit it and even eliminate it. And so, it's a sad truth, but if we have big groups of, people in these organizations, these bow fishing organizations, to kind of like stand up to that,
right.
It's going to be taken a lot more seriously than just a couple of guys that like to do something, right?
Exactly.
If we have a professional organization that's got a bunch of members, I mean, it's a lot harder to fight something like that. So I think that's the other reason why these clubs are so important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think you hit it right on the head there, Cody. That's a very good answer there.
Yep.
Boy, Cody, you've given us all kinds of knowledge and information. If any of our listeners are interested, tell us where they can find you, Cody. Your guide service, the podcast, the LLBA Association, everything.
For sure, yeah. As far as the LLBA, we have a Facebook page, Land of Lakes Bowfishing Association on Facebook. You can like us, follow us, keep updated with some of these limit things coming down the pipe. We post all about that. We post our tournament trail, dates, times, info on there. And then we've also got a website for that, landoflakesbowfishing.com. As far as Playin Hooky goes, the guide service, I've got a Facebook page, an Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all those fun stuff there. Most of it's Playin Hooky guide service, or Playin Hooky on Instagram. And then the podcast is anywhere you can find podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, all those.
Sure.
It's Playin Hooky Bowfishing Podcast.
Nice.
And I've also got a website, playinhookyguideservice.com. And yeah, I just love talking bow fishing. So even if you just want to message me and talk about shooting some carp, I'm here for it.
Nice.
That's awesome. Perfect.
Busy man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Cody Klaus from Minnesota. Playin Hooky podcast, Playin Hooky guide service, president of the LLBA.
Yeah.
Hats off to you, Cody, for doing all these great things for the sport that we all love. And like I said, if you want another podcast to listen to that's bow fishing driven, Cody Klaus has it out there for you with the Playin Hooky podcast.
Yep.
And definitely going to have you on, down the road here again, Cody.
Yep.
And we'd be glad to come back on with you if you ever need somebody to come on and talk with a little bit. So thank you very much, Cody, for joining us today on the Bow Fishing Buzz. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope our listeners enjoyed it as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys, for having me. I'm honored to be on your podcast, and thank you guys for all that you do for the bow fishing community as well.
Well, we appreciate that, Cody, very much.
Thank you.
Definitely keep in touch, and let's get that ice off so we can go and start shooting some fish, huh?
Oh, I can't get here soon enough, boys.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You take care, Cody. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Cody.
You guys too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Little Cody Klaus action.
Cody Klaus.
Very cool.
Busy guy.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yep.
To see individuals step up and doing multiple roles.
Yeah.
For the sport of bow fishing.
Yep.
Yep.
That's someone right there that even just talking to him, you could read what he does on a piece of paper and know this. But if you didn't know any of that and you just talked to him, had a conversation, you would know after a couple minutes that he is 100% passionate about the sport of bow fishing.
Right.
Yep. He's about as into it as you can be. And
exactly.
that's so cool to see.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's huge for the next 30 years of bow fishing to get people that are invested. That's awesome. So, yeah.
Very cool. Now, before we close up, Schmitty, we've got something, and I think everybody should do something like this.
Yeah.
What do we got here, Derrick?
To round out the podcast here, Matt, we were discussing beforehand, we're getting ready to kick off, at least up here in Wisconsin. Right. It's about to get hot and heavy as far as shooting fish goes. So Matt and I each listed 3. I've got 3. I don't know how many you got, Matt.
I don't have nothing written down.
Oh, okay. All right. He's just going to wing it. But we each have a couple of goals that we're going to set for the 2023 season.
Yeah.
We're going to try to keep these goals in the back of our head all year long and just try to capitalize on them as best we can.
Right.
And I think it's also very important, even, everyone out there, just write them down. Know them. Know what you want to do.
Do something.
It's gonna really help you progress. And in 2 or 3 years of doing that, and this goes for anything. It could be your job, life, whatever you're doing. If you can write down some goals, you're gonna want to cross them off.
Exactly.
Instead of just
sitting there and slouching and not really caring too much about anything.
Right. You're going to improve on what you're doing. But anyway, so we've got our 2023 goals here. Matt, you want to share one of your goals with everybody?
I'll share one of my goals. One of my goals is, and it's kind of high, but I need to set it. All right.
200-pound buff.
I think that might be a little, but it's up. It's. I want to shoot a freshwater fish besides an alligator gar that is over 90 pounds.
Oh, duh.
I want to shoot a 90-pound freshwater fish.
Sure.
My biggest is 87. and I want to get one 90-pounder.
Yeah.
I want a 90-pound freshwater fish.
You want to have that number, 90.
90.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to hit 90.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one of my goals this year, Schmitty.
Sure. That's very cool. You want to go every other?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Mine are, I was reading them off after I wrote them down. They're specific, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're about to get real.
All right.
Here, all right?
Yeah.
So number one thing, and this comes from a filming background of following you around for all those years filming. I like to watch outdoor content a lot. I know I like to think I know what's good, what's average, whatever, and we try to produce the best quality that we can here at AMS. One thing that I need to keep in mind is when we're out filming, doing anything filming-wise, always capture opportunities. Get that cell phone out and film whatever cool little thing that you're experiencing and try to film it in portrait mode. I'm so used to always having everything be landscape when we're filming.
Yep.
And just with today's day and age of social media, you know it from editing. I know it. YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels. Everything is laying so portrait. It fills the screen up better on your phone. So we got all this amazing footage, and I'll look back and be like, gosh, darn it. You got to shrink it down to 9:16 framing. And like I said, these are pretty specific goals, but that's something I need to just keep in the back of my head when we're out and about, because I will appreciate it so much.
Yep.
Years down the line, we'll be able to go back and use that as content. So that's one of mine.
And when we're on a trip somewhere, I always keep in the back of my mind, I need landscape for
catalog, for website,
or even just video
for Carbon
for
TV
Carbon
episodes.
TV. I need landscape. I can't do vertical for those.
Right.
But then as I'm sitting there thinking, oh, this is cool right here. I need to film this also in, the other way. Because that might be a really cool thing for like an Instagram reel. Or something like that. So I'm always trying to, and then when I get back from a trip, I download all my stuff from my phone. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got vertical landscape. I've got so much stuff I got to get separated.
Yeah.
And why did I record this and why did I record that? But yeah, it's a lot when you are dealing with, a lot of social media stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I just know I always get into that habit of wanting to turn that phone sideways or turn our Canon sideways and film it landscape. Yeah. I got to break off that. So that's one of my goals this year is to get with the times.
Get with the times.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
My other goal, Schmitty, is after I've been editing, our Carbon TV episodes from, and some of them I put together that are, 3-4 years old, some of the footage that we put together.
I just want to mention that sometimes when I go into Matt's office, if he's showing me something, he'll have his timeline up in Premiere Pro, his editing software.
Yeah.
It looks like an advanced game of, what is that called? Tetris?
Oh, yeah.
You've got 14 different different banners up on top of each other.
Timelines and stuff.
And you'll be like, oh, yeah, I just edited this in there. And I'm like, oh, my Lord. It gives me a headache just looking at it. But they're complex. Okay, continue. Sorry.
But one of the things that I want to do moving forward this year, Derrick, it won't be in any of this year's videos. It'll be in the next year's videos. But I want to, as we're on the water, I want to explain things a little bit more in depth to the audience of what's going on right now in this episode. Instead of just shooting a fish, bringing it up, saying, "Oh, look at this big fish!" This is an invasive. Awesome. This is an invasive carp. Well, I want to get a little more in depth. Why are we out there that time of year? What's going on? Why are these fish moving in right here at this time of the year?
Yeah.
Or why are they up doing this at this time of year? Or why are all these 5 different fish splashing out of the water? I need to explain that a little bit more to the audience because we all know it.
Right.
You all know it. What's going on.
Right.
But a lot of times we're reaching people now, that don't know what we're doing this for, why we're doing it. So I want to give them a little more general knowledge of what's going on in the situation right now in the boat.
Sure. Okay.
That's one of my goals this year.
You got 90-pound freshwater.
Yeah.
And public knowledge so far as year 2. Yeah. And I think that goes to Matt just with consuming like hunting content. Personally, I enjoy it so much more when you got some guy doing an interview from a tree and he's telling you, hey guys, it's November 8th. It's 28 degrees outside. We've got a buck that we've had on camera the last 3 days. His name is Split Brow 10. We know him for 3. And you get that background instead of just all of a sudden him shooting a huge deer. It totally changes how you're viewing this whole experience.
Yeah.
And I think we do a pretty good job.
We do.
Yeah, there is room for improvement.
Always room for improvement. And like I said, I can come back here to the studio and I can come up here and I can
do a voiceover
or talk with this background. But I think it's so much more professional or means more to somebody when it's done at the location of where you're at.
Right.
You know, instead of always coming up here to have to do an intro or an outro and stuff like that or stuff in between. So that's what I want to get a little more into and remember to do that stuff on trips.
Sure. Yeah. That's a great goal.
Yep.
My second goal is every time I go out bow fishing, which I don't bow fish nearly as much as you do, for example, but every time I go out, as you know, I do a lot of the megamouth side of things here. Building reels, development, R&D, whatever we got going on, I like to kind of have my hands on, whatever it is. Every time I go out, I want to try and think of one thing to improve the reel. I want to write them down on a list every time I go out.
That's going to be hard. That's going to be hard to do. That's a pretty dang stout little machinery.
It is. And it's, but part of me, the reason that it is what it is today is because of that kind of attitude over the last 5 years.
Yep.
Never satisfied.
Right.
And, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to amount to anything. My little idea that I think of will be nothing, but that one little thing, we could maybe change that. Let's try to do that. Pretty soon, a couple years down the road, it's morphed into what it is today kind of, and just kind of keep improving like that. So I want to get one thing after every outing, write it down on a list, and be able to go and pick through that list when I get back to the shop.
Very cool.
Doing something at work. So megamouth improvement, that's my second goal.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. So I'm up to number 3 now my goal for this year.
Yep. Oh boy.
This is something that I want to get off my bucket list.
Okay.
All right. And I hope I can do this this year. I really would like to do this. I want to go offshore and shoot saltwater. And one of my bucket list fish is a mahi-mahi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's a mahi-mahi.
I think you got a buddy that could help you do that.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Mr. Billy Lawson.
So you can start pumping iron and go out there without a shirt on too?
One of my other goals should be to lose 20 pounds before bow fishing season starts, because up here from like November to this time of year, I just stack it on because there's nothing to do up here. It gets dark out at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and it's cold and you don't go outside and do nothing. So that should be another one of my goals. But no, I won't be. Yeah, those guys always, when they go out on their mahi-mahi mile marker, something it's called.
Okay.
And before they go out there, they all get all stoked up and
they freaking lift and get all
jacked up. Get all jacked up and stuff. And
I can totally see.
Here's a Wisconsin boy coming down here all white as a ghost.
Hey, what are we gonna be shooting today, fellas?
Hey, I got some cheese skirts for you.
Yeah.
But that's one of my goals is I want to shoot I want to go after some saltwater species.
Sure.
And one of my targets is a mahi-mahi.
Okay. That's very cool.
Yep.
I can see a Carbon TV episode in August of you. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Mathew. We're down here shooting some mahi-mahi. You're just freaking tan and jacked. No shirt on. You got like an AMS tattoo on your chest.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
I don't know if I'll ever take my shirt off on camera.
Oh, yeah. That's a great goal, though. Offshore, I mean, that's definitely a bucket list thing to do.
Right.
Number 3 for myself, and this is more of a personal goal.
Yep.
I'll look back, Matt, on previous years when we're going through looking for a social media post or a certain video clip or something that we're trying to edit or put out there, and I'll see myself on video. We'll have the video crew with us and say it's you and me up in the front of the boat and we're shooting fish.
Yep.
And I can see in the video clip when I'm too worried about what the camera is capturing instead of just being loose and just going with the flow, I guess you would say. So my third goal is to enjoy myself a little bit more, have a little bit more fun. Don't look so staged to the cameras. Like I remember one of the times that I remember being on Castle Rock that one year that I shot a nice buff when they were spawning.
Yeah. Yep.
And I remember that whole morning I kind of was like, oh, okay, I had the reel in my hand and I'm like, okay, are they getting this right? I remember being way too worried about what the camera was capturing, and then that gets relayed into the footage doesn't look as good because there you are all stiff as a board. You're kind of acting staged and whatever. And maybe it's not as bad as I'm probably making it out to be worse than what it is.
I know exactly what you're saying.
But
yeah,
I shot that 50-pound buff. That was big. That's the biggest buff I've ever shot.
Right.
And I remember shooting that fish and the cameras disappeared. The adrenaline rush of shooting that fish, and I love the footage of it. I love how confident I was when I was talking about it.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that back and going, oh my God, that adrenaline rush, I totally was, the cameras were secondary.
Right.
Because you know how it is. When we're down here, you're like, oh, we got to get enough footage here for to make this trip worthwhile. We got to get these product videos, all these pictures and everything. You kind of have a lot going on in the back of your mind. And to me, that kind of turns into the end product not being quite as good because everything is so staged and has to be perfect. It's more that you want that like rough, rustic type, this is the real deal type footage.
Exactly.
So that's just a goal of mine. Just be loose, get done what you have to get done, but just enjoy yourself and just be relatable to people watching.
Yep. So. And I remember looking back at that footage of when you shot that buff, okay? You shot it, getting it into the boat and stuff, and you were holding onto the line along the side of the boat, and I was behind you, and I gaffed it, all right? I started to bring the gaff out of the water, and I handed the gaff over to you.
Yep.
And I remember the footage of you pulling up that fish out of the water and up into the boat. You could see that type of expression that needs to be out there on your face, like,
oh, I can't believe this.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was in slow motion. It looked really cool. So exactly, I know exactly what you're meaning because a lot of times that camera puts you in a different mood or mode than what you really should be.
Right. And like in a situation like that, for example, me lifting that fish up, having that look on my face of pure excitement. That is so much better than if I would have lifted that fish up and been like, oh my gosh, guys, look at this beautiful, kind of like a staged, more of a, you want to see the raw adrenaline, man. You want to see someone kind of lose their mind a little bit because you know what that feeling is like. Exactly. You don't want calm and preserved. You want you want live action.
Exactly.
So that's my number 3 goal. Enjoy myself and be a little looser.
Very cool. You know what that means, Schmitty?
We done. He's got his little prop up here. I wonder what he brought that up here for. Good Lord.
Hey, everybody. We hope you enjoyed episode
56
of the Bowfishing Buzz. Thanks much to Cody Klaus from the Bowfishing Buzz podcast for joining us. And want to go listen to some of his podcasts. He does a great job.
Playin
Hooky podcast.
Yep.
So from all of us here at AMS Bowfishing and
Mega Mouth Bowfishing as well,
remember, aim low,
think big. Thanks for listening, guys.